Hey, welcome to my Big Ten Iowa Hawkeye 2021 season preview show. So let's start with the Big Ten and my feelings. Matter of fact, since the Big Ten kicked off its season yesterday with Nebraska and Illinois, with Illinois defeating Nebraska 30 to 22, let's talk about that game just a little bit and what it means. Okay, so Illinois looked pretty good on offense there for a little while. Um, I think they came out second half, scored a couple of quick touchdowns, maybe three, no two. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, scored two quick touchdowns, and that was pretty much the end of their offense for the rest of the day. Nebraska came out in the second half, also with their quarterback Adrian Martinez. When he started running the ball, Adrian started looking a little more like a quarterback. Okay, well, the quarterback that I expected Nebraska to have because he was using his feet more. And I always felt that he was better at his feet and that he's kind of been hogtied, over the years because they want to make him more of a pocket passer instead of using his feet. And you see what happens when he gets caught in the pocket. He got sacked several times yesterday. Um, as did the Illinois quarterback on the other way. So what does this mean about two teams that are picked near the bottom of the Big Ten West? And a game that Nebraska could have easily had a chance to win, but they made too many mistakes, too many turnovers, too many mental errors, too many stupid things like um, Adrian Martinez when he was going, just trying to run out the clock basically at halftime for a 9-9 halftime tie. He fumbles the ball. Illinois scoops it up and runs it in for a touchdown. Okay. Um, his team his team intercepts a pass, and yet they call roughing the passer on it, so Illinois gets the ball back. And the other thing is they missed some extra points. Um, let's see what else. Oh, I did they miss a 55-yard field goal, but you're not going to make all those, I think. So that cost them. But I think the one of the thing is when they had a chance, they made a mental error on what they thought was fourth down was really first down, and they went with a quarterback keeper. You know, so that cost them really one play to get into the end zone. So just little things like that really hurt Nebraska yesterday. Okay, the thing, but here's what the thing that Illinois surprising me on, as I said in my yesterday's halftime report, is Illinois is starting to look like Wisconsin in style. Right now, I would still pick Wisconsin as the better team over the two. But BB is he is doing what I expected him to do, what I predicted on the NHA podcast with Nolan. By the way, the hopefully we got a podcast coming out. I know Nolan has a preview of the Indiana game coming out either today or tomorrow, so I'll be watching for that. But anyway, um, what was I saying? Oh, so as I predicted earlier, once I heard BB got hired, that things were gonna change a little bit. Number one, he was gonna do a good job of recruiting Iowa in the state of Illinois. He was going to do a good job of out recruiting Iowa in the state of Illinois. He's done that this year. He has, I believe, in three, maybe it's four instances in head to head competition between Iowa and Illinois. Illinois won out. I believe BB is negative recruiting against Iowa. I don't know what he's throwing out there. I think a lot of people are throwing Kirk's age out there, even though Kirk has assured everybody he's around till at least 70 and possibly longer. All right. And he's 66 now. So anybody who would come in next year, Kirk would probably still be the coach when they left. So I think he's negative recruiting there. But I think the best job he's done of recruiting is when I heard yesterday watching the game that Illinois has 21 super seniors on the team. Do you guys realize that that's about what recruiting classes have each year? 21 players. So he basically has right now 5 classes in his in his thing. You got all these 6-year seniors. Think about that. I don't know how many of them actually played a role, but he talked these guys into staying. Look how much experience you cannot take away the experience factor. And some of these guys are actually talented too. I mean, Illinois I always thought was talented. They were just being miscoached. They weren't being coached correctly. Go out and get the best talent you can get, but still make them fit your scheme. No, if you got a scheme that you like, you go out and you coach, you recruit to your scheme, or you're a flexible coach and you recruit the very best players you can get, but you coach your philosophy changes based on the players you have. And I think some of the best coaches can do that. They get the very best players and they change things up year in and year out a little bit, tweak things to match the players and just find ways to get their best players involved, even if it means, like, for instance, as we heard, Illinois has converted 2 quarterbacks into wide receivers, I believe. But they were out there catching passes yesterday. 2 people, and one had just changed to quarterback earlier that week. So basically, he went into game prep week deciding to be a quarterback. That's what good coaches in the long run do. They find ways to get their most talented players on the field. Um, so I don't know how good Illinois is going to be this year, or Nebraska for that matter. I don't know if Nebraska's poor coaching and poor play just made Illinois look good, but Nebraska did come back after being down 21 points, and they did have the ball with the chance to go down the field and score and tie up the game at the end of the game. So, but they didn't. They didn't move the ball at all because they got away from Nebraska ball in the second at that last drive. So that really hurt them. So how good are they going to be? I don't know. Um, I'm not going to try to take too much away from 2 teams that are picked near the bottom of the Big Ten West. So let's move on from that, though. But I mean, well, before I move on, I just let's see where this goes. I don't want to get too excited or too worked up or too worried about Illinois just yet. Give me a couple of weeks and let me see what they do because they still have to play all the good teams yet. Um, and Iowa gets Illinois the last week of the season, right before they play the final game of the season against Nebraska. So Iowa doesn't see both of these teams until the end of the season. So let's see if these teams have learned anything, have improved along the way, or gone backwards during the the weeks. Okay, so let's not talk about the West anymore right now. I'm going to come back to that. Let's talk about the East. The beast in the East that everybody knows is Ohio State. Okay, yesterday on the game, or was it pregame? Yeah, it was pregame, which kind of made me mad a little bit because they said that in the East there were 2 teams that could beat that had a chance to beat Ohio State, Indiana and Penn State. I agree. I don't know if they have a chance, but I agree that they're the only 2 viable candidates who have a shot in the East to knock off Ohio State. Okay. And so I don't know why they didn't talk about the West teams, whoever wins the West, if they could have a shot of beating Ohio State in the title game if they met in the title game. All right. All right. As you guys know, most people pick Wisconsin to win it again this year, followed by Iowa. All right. And I'll get more to that a little bit later. But I thought Iowa and Wisconsin should have been mentioned as possibilities too. Matter of fact, the last time we played Ohio State, everybody knows what happened there. Um, Iowa won, huge, but 55 or 57-20 or something like that. Yeah, and so it could happen again. It could, you know. Don't go into that game thinking Ohio State's going to automatically win that game if they happen to meet for a title. Don't. I learned my lesson. I went to a movie with my family on the Ohio State Iowa game thinking that Iowa had no chance of winning that game. And to my surprise, we come out and turn on the car radio right about just before halftime to find out Iowa was leading. Um, and then the second half, the game just blew up and got bigger. So, never count Iowa out. So, so anyway, it kind of made me mad that they didn't include Iowa and Wisconsin in as a couple of teams who could possibly knock off Ohio State. Okay. So anyway, so I think let's get right to it. Ohio State, I believe, will win the East again. I don't think there's anybody not picking them. I'm actually looking for Penn State to jump up and be second this year. I don't think it's going to be Indiana, but I'm going to give Indiana the third spot. Okay, in that category. Um, and then it's after that. I don't know. I guess Michigan. Can Michigan be that bad 2 years in a row? I'll go with Michigan and Rutgers is starting to improve, and then Maryland and finally, I think Michigan State still brings up the rear this year of that. So yeah, but I'm going to come back to those teams, some of those teams that we talk about. All right. Now I want to move over and talk a little bit about the West. Okay. I think, honestly, I think this is the year for Iowa. It's going to be one of those years. I'm not out there drinking the Kool Aid. I'm out there thinking that is the Kool Aid. Um, I think this is the year Iowa can step up and do special things. I just think on offense, this is going to be the best offensive team they've had, even losing our two wideouts, because I believe we got a couple of wideouts stepping up that are already proven. We've got a couple of freshman wideouts that are going to step up. I believe Brian Ferentz is learning his lesson. I think he's going to figure out that he needs to put his best players on the field and utilize them the best way he can. We got a great running back in Tyler Goodson. Um, he'll be running behind a line that he's convinced is going to be pretty good. He's going to be running behind a great line, he says. So um, we got Sam Laporta at tight end, going to be catching balls. Look for him to get a lot of targets this year. He should get a lot of targets this year. Will probably remind me a little bit of the year Hawkinson and Fant had a little bit where they got targeted a lot. So look for that. Um, and not Nate. Nate's a Viking now, or at least temporarily a Viking. I don't know if he's going to last there or not. Okay, Spencer Petras, our quarterback. We all know he had accuracy issues last year. And by all accounts, from what I hear, he's corrected those accuracy issues. He's getting the ball downfield. He's hitting his targets. The thing is he's talked about coming off the snap count quicker and getting the ball out quicker. And he feels like some of those short throws could be better. Some of them obvious open throws. We all watched the games last year. We all know that he missed an awful lot of open wide receivers. He either didn't throw to them or he underthrew or overthrew them. And there was a lot of wide open receivers out there last year. I'm looking forward to the Wildcat for Iowa a little bit. I call it the Paul nicknamed it the Wild Hawk, and I just kind of jumped on the bandwagon, called it the Wild Hawk. This year, Tyler Goodson, he pretty much ran the Wild Hawk last year. Um, I look for him this year to be when he does the Wild Hawk, he'll either have oh Tyrone Tracy on one side of him, and I believe um, Arlen Bruce on the other side of him. I believe that's going to be a little bit of a wrinkle. People who have seen some practice pictures have said they have seen that lineup on that. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised to see Arlen Bruce actually be the Wild Hawk leader on that, with Tyler Goodson moving to his side. Why? Because Arlen Bruce is a former quarterback. He's quarterback. He was a runner, and he's a receiver. All right. And so he gets accolades in all those areas, and he could do everything. Okay. Now, don't be surprised if you see him a little bit show up on special teams, um, take some passes, throw some passes, and maybe even run the ball. Okay. Probably I would see that more on a jet sweep or out of the Wild Hawk. Okay. Maybe that way. But yeah, look for Arlen Bruce to get more involved. I know he's not on the two deeps, but I'm predicting right now that look for him to be involved more ways than you care. I mean, care to say, and he's probably the fifth receiver out there. He's probably receiver number 5, so that's why he's not listed on the two deeps. Um, okay, for those reasons, and of course the defense. Phil Parker's defense. He's got the DBs and linebackers are all back. Plus, they got some good ones waiting in the wings. Um, for example, that Xavier Williams transfer from UNI that everybody's high on, who's supposedly going to get some NFL accolades. He's going to he's not even on the two deeps anymore. Okay, and so he's going to get playing time, guys. He's going to figure in there somewhere. So we're pretty deep there, in a position that we weren't really deep a few years ago. All of a sudden, we're getting deeper because we keep sending these guys off to the NFL, and we're developing these guys a lot better, okay, than we used to. Okay, the defensive line's got to come together. It's got to come together quick against Indiana, and I'm not going to go into any kind of an Indiana preview because that's Nolan's going to handle that. So be watching for that. And so I'm just going to say against Indiana this week, the defensive line needs to get it together, needs to get it together quick if we're going to have any chance of winning that game. And I'll leave it right there. So I'm picking Iowa, number 1 in the West. I'm picking Wisconsin, number 2. And I don't know, that's kind of high, really, right now. But I'm also high on Minnesota. So I think that's your top 3 teams right there. This year, Northwestern, they have won the Big Ten West 2 out of the last 3 seasons. I just don't know. They go as the quarterback goes, as you guys know right now. So I just don't know at this point if they are going to be able to step up. They only return about 30% of their production. They've got some decent talent coming back though. And don't count out the coach. Because he's always got them ready to play, and they're going to give Iowa fits this year, and so um, just be looking for that. All right, and so there you go. And the rest of it, Illinois, Nebraska, Purdue are your bottom 3 teams in that West. I don't really going to name off where they finished. That's how I predicted this. And this is how I predicted it before I watched the game yesterday. So I want to talk about next what teams do I think are sleeper teams in each side, and what team do I think I'm more afraid of as a Hawkeye fan of playing this year. Okay. So let's start with the West, okay, because that's where we're going to play, 6 of our games on the West side. All right. Who's the sleeper team? After yesterday, I'm going to say Illinois and their 21 super seniors. I think let's watch out for Illinois. Um, who's the team that I'm more afraid of right now than anything? Purdue. We've only beaten Jeff Prom once out of 4 tries. The coach at Purdue. He seems to find a way to beat us. He knows how to get behind our linebackers and our DBs. But I will say, from the first time he played us till this time, our DBs and our linebackers have gotten a whole lot better. A whole lot better. And we should have won that game last year against Purdue. Losing by 4 points kind of hurt. That did hurt, but I think if we'd have played Purdue later on in the season, we would have beat them. Okay, so Purdue would be the team that I'm most afraid to play right now, just because we don't seem to solve the Purdue problem or Jeff Prom problem. We need to solve that problem. We need to solve it this year. If we're to have the kind of year I hope we do, Iowa does, that's the team we've got to solve. We also got to solve Northwestern. All right. We need to solve them. All right. Okay. Let's jump over to the East. We only play 3 teams over there: Penn State, Indiana, and Maryland. Okay. I'm currently not worried about Maryland, but they've got a great quarterback over there. I think they could be the sleeper team in the East. I really do. Because I think they could go either way. I think they have that type of season where they could go either way, and they get a few breaks. Knock off an Indiana or a Penn State by accident, and um, I think they could have a decent season. So they'd be my sleeper team. Um, the team that would scare me the most on that side um, would be Maryland. Okay, because that's a pick that I was going to be heavily favored to win, no matter what they do at the beginning of the season. Though they should be picked heavily against Maryland, but it's a Friday night game in Maryland, and so those night games don't always go the way they're supposed to. So that also would be the team I'm scared to play the most, because out of the Penn State, you know what you get. You know what you're getting with Indiana. Um, Iowa knows they've got to come out and be ready against Indiana and Penn State. And they will be ready. I don't look for either one of those games to be blowouts. I think it just comes down to, if Iowa wins those games, it's just going to come down to mistakes and turnovers, mental mistakes, no turnovers, things like that. Just like it always does. It always comes down to those things. Um, so yeah, we know what we're going to get, but I'm afraid with Maryland, especially if they don't come out of the gate real strong, because I think we play them the first game. We got Indiana. I got the schedule right here. I'll look it up here. We've got Indiana, Iowa State, Kent State, Colorado State. Then I believe we play Maryland. So by that time, Maryland would have played 1 or 2 Big Ten games. So we'll have a better idea of what we're looking at there. Okay. And so that I'm looking for a win, but I'm still thinking, that team could go either way. And so they're not only are they my sleeper team, but they're the team that I feel that I'm scared to play on that side of the bracket. Okay. So let me get the schedule out here so I get it right. Okay, here we go. So this is what we're going to talk about here. September 4th, this Saturday, Indiana comes to Iowa City. This is going to be a really tight, close game. They were talking about how Indiana was one of the was one of the worst rushing teams last year, and that they're really a big play team. That if you let them get behind you, that they would that that they could strike quickly and easily. But they don't. They don't apparently. I didn't really watch any Indiana games last year, but from what I'm hearing from everybody and their take is that Indiana is not a team that can have sustained drives. They need big plays to continue to get drives live. So I'm going to give this one to Iowa just for that reason because I think our defense isn't going to give up that many big plays, and I think our offense is just. I don't think Indiana can stop our offense. Okay, next game at Iowa State. Okay, guys, don't hate me for this, but I think all the intangibles are there for Iowa to lose this game this year. I think our 6-game winning streak is over against Iowa State. And I really, I mean, they've got Purdy. He's a pretty fair quarterback, a proven quarterback. They've got the number one, what they consider one of the number one running backs. I think he was second team All American last year, coming back in that Brees Hall. Is that his name? Yeah. They've got a All American or All Big 12 tight end coming back. There are people right now who think that their running back and their tight end are better than our tight end and our running back. We'll see how the season goes. I did watch, because early in the season Iowa didn't play last year, so I did watch a few of the Iowa State games, and those guys are very impressive. All right, they bring back just about everybody on offense and defense, and they brought back some super seniors too. And I just think Campbell hasn't beat Iowa yet. There's not a player on the current Iowa roster that's ever won against Iowa. And sometimes just don't overlook those kind of little intangible things, It's in Ames, you know. I I'm sorry guys. I don't want to pick against Iowa in this game, but I have to because I don't believe Iowa's going to win this game. All right. Kent State and Colorado State. I'm just not even going to go into detail. We're just going to win them. All right. At Maryland, again, this is a 7 p.m. Central Standard Time televised game on a Friday night on October 1st. Okay. I am going to pick Iowa in this game. Okay. We'll find out later on how good that pick is. Then we come home and Penn State comes home. We come home to Penn State. Back to back Penn State and Purdue. Okay. Guys, this one doesn't have a time announced, but I got a feeling if Iowa can come into this game undefeated and Penn State comes into this game undefeated, we're looking at a night game. We're looking at a night game in Iowa City between two ranked teams. By that time, both of them should be near the top 10. I think Penn State, I think, is ranked like 17 or we're 18, and I think Penn State's right around there somewhere too, about the same number we are. All right, or maybe 12th or something like that. So that could be close to a top 10 matchup in Iowa State. But I'm going to pick them to win. Not as easily as we did last year. It's going to be a dogfight. Penn State's got some guys coming back who took the year off last year from COVID. They had guys who didn't play because of COVID, who could have, but they didn't. I don't want to say could have. I just mean that they were eligible to play as far as the season goes. They were out for the team. They didn't take the year off like some of the players did. And so, but I still think we find a way to win this game. All right. And that's going to be in Iowa City. Okay, the next week, this game, I believe, is homecoming. Right? Yeah. Purdue is homecoming game on October 16th in Iowa City. Guys, this is going to be a trap game. All right? Because we're going to come off an emotional high of just beating Penn State. All right? These guys have got to come down and get to business to work on a Purdue team that the people on this roster right now have only beaten once out of 4 tries. Okay, and so we're going to be hungry for a win, but we got to solve the Jeff Brown problem, and David Bell. We've got to contain him. How do you contain him? I believe with this year's DBs and linebackers, we can do that. We can contain him a little bit. And so I believe we will contain him. I believe we solved the problem this year, and I believe we do win this game going away. Um, and then we have an open week. But the reason why I said it was a trap game because between the Penn State game and then the Purdue game, Purdue is next. Even though we have an open week on October 23rd, on October 30th after the open week, we go to Wisconsin. Guys, we got a tough schedule. We have a very tough schedule. Going to Wisconsin, that could be right there. The Big Ten West could be decided right there right then and there. The winner takes all. And so, again, guys, I'm really going back and forth on this one, but I think Iowa wins this game. Their quarterback isn't any better or any worse than ours. They know they have a running back that they're high on this year, but I don't think he's anywhere near unless I'm mistaken. He's nowhere near as good as what they've had in the past. Although, like I said, I could probably run behind the Wisconsin offensive line, all those big 300-pound beefy guys, and I could probably gain a few yards before I got caught. So we'll find out if that's the case this year. But I'm believing in Iowa's defense this year, and yeah, by that time our defensive line should be gelling pretty good, should be smoking pretty good, and as long as we don't have any injuries and we've not gone to the next man in type mentality to keep going here, I fully believe in that Iowa wins this game. Now the next week at Northwestern, okay. So we got back-to-back road games. Now we're going to Northwestern after Wisconsin. Now we're going to come off another emotional high. Okay, we beat Wisconsin. We're undefeated in the Big Ten so far, and so Iowa's riding the high hog pretty good. So what happens at Northwestern, guys? I don't know. They just have Iowa's number. I mean, we do beat them every now and then, you know, but they just have our number. It doesn't really matter how good Iowa is, you know, or how good or how bad Northwestern is. They just find a way to beat us. And so, but I don't know. I just think that this is going to be one of those years where even though it's at Northwestern, we're going to get Northwestern this year. I believe we get them. All right, now we're coming home to Minnesota. Back-to-back games. Minnesota on November 13th and Illinois on November 20th. Guys, Minnesota's going to be good. They've got a good quarterback. He didn't look so great last year. They've got a great running back. They've got a good receivers. Um, our defense will be tested in this game, but I believe our offense is going to carry us in a lot of games this year. I believe if we score, more than 30 points a game, which I think we will, I think our average will be over 30. I think Iowa wins every game that they can score over 30 points. So that I'm giving to Iowa again. Again, we'll have more detailed previews as the season comes up. As we get closer to each game, we'll go into more details. And so then we got Illinois. This is at home. We don't know what Illinois is going to have us, bring to the table this year. So, I'm still going to give it to Iowa as of now. By the way, I reserve my right as the season goes on and things change to change my opinion week to week. But as of now, I still think we get Illinois. We're in Iowa City. By this time, Iowa is 7-0 after beating Minnesota. They're 7-0 in the Big Ten. Okay. Yeah, believe it or not, I've got them 7-0 so far. Okay, so we're gonna beat Illinois to go to 8-0. All right. Then finally, here we go. Nebraska. God, what a dumpster fire that's become lately. Will Scott Frost still be the coach by the time we get to the end of the season? By the time this game goes around, what do you guys think? Let me know. Does Scott Frost still have a job? Is Nebraska figured out how to turn around and win a few games? Um, does Scott Frost get his players behind him, or does he throw them all under the boat again this year? Going to be interesting. I really do. I think it's just going to be it's going to be fun year to watch to see the dumpster fire that we call Nebraska and see what happens. This game is at Nebraska, and granted, the games have been close, and Iowa's needed a field goal. I think in the last few games, it seems like that's the script: get out to a lead, let Nebraska catch up and tie the game, or get ahead by a point or so, and then we go out and kick a field goal toward the end of the game to win it. I don't see that changing for whatever reason. That's their bowl game against us. They get up for us. They could get blown out by 50 points by everybody, but when it comes to Iowa, they're going to play us toe to toe, neck to neck. But I still think we're the better team. We're the better team. We got a better offense. We got a better defense. The offensive line for Nebraska doesn't seem to be that great. The defensive line didn't look that great against Illinois. And so, when you got two teams that are supposed to be bad, looking bad against each other, I don't know what's going to happen when they play the good teams, the teams that are supposed to win. So, there, we're going to be 9-0 in the Big Ten for the first time. Okay, because the last time we went undefeated in the Big Ten, we were 8-0 because we didn't have a 9-game schedule. So we're going to be 9-0 in the Big Ten, and we're going to go and play Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. I'm not going to give you a prediction on that. My understanding is, though, the way the playoff system is set up this year, the winner would probably go to the playoffs. I don't know that Iowa would, because of the loss to Iowa State early in the season. I don't know that Iowa would be in the mix for a playoff berth. So I think win or lose, Ohio State, if they're undefeated going into that game, win or lose, the Big Ten title game is in the playoffs no matter what. I just don't see that happening under those conditions. So, but yeah, I think Iowa, win or lose, the Big Ten title game goes to the Rose Bowl. Yes, I love the Rose Bowl, and we got to win a Rose Bowl. We haven't won a Rose Bowl since the 50s, guys. Guys, we need to win the Rose Bowl. All right. So those are my predictions for the upcoming season. I see 11-1 season. Guys, I know, don't come at me. Don't come at me. I think this is just going to be those years. I've only predicted a year like this one other time, and that was in 2015. Because I thought we had all the pieces in place then, and we did. But the thing is we've got to win the close games. We can't lose close games like we did last year. We lost 2 close games. Both games we led late, but we let them get back into it. With next time Iowa goes up 17-0 on Northwestern, just run the hell out of the ball and keep the ball away from Northwestern. Don't give them a chance to come back and run points up on us, and then all we get after that is a field goal. We give them 3 touchdowns, and meanwhile we're throwing the ball 50 times a game. What the heck are Iowa doing throwing the ball 50 times a game when we got Tyler Goodson, running back? If you're going to throw it 50 times a game, at least throw it to him out of the backfield 50 times a game and let him do his thing. So that's how I feel on that. Now, I just kind of want to jump real quick to the name, image, and likeness we talked. It's been going on big. I've read that some of the schools are getting deals for their players, like a whole corporate sponsorship, where every player gets paid like $1,000 or $500 for for like sponsoring a gym or a shoe company or something like that. And Iowa players, some of our best Iowa players are getting off to a pretty good start. A lot of them are having their own T-shirt lines. I saw a YouTube clip of Jabo on a commercial, um, and you guys have all seen the Tyler Goodson commercial where they're um, Carlos O'Kelly's. Was it Carlos O'Kelly's that they were doing it for? It might have been. Yeah, probably. Um, the commercial for. I think right now, I think with Iowa, that's kind of the best they're going to get. I don't know if they're going to get an all team deal, like $500 for every player for sponsoring a gym or something like that. So when somebody had suggested that maybe this name, image, likeness could hurt Iowa a little bit, maybe it is. Maybe it is a little bit. We'll find out later. Um, but a lot of the players are having their own T-shirts. Caitlin Clark has their own T-shirts, which I'll be sporting here in another week or so. I ordered one. Um, Spencer Lee has his own T-shirt out there, and Jabo has his own T-shirts plus some other merch out there. I think Tyler Goodson has a T-shirt too. Several of the players have their own T-shirts out there. Um, the one player I wish they would, because even though everybody's high on Caitlin Clark on the basketball team, my favorite player on that team is Gabby Marshall. She can hit the three just as easily and as quickly as Caitlin can. Caitlin's getting all the plug while Gabby just quietly goes off. Goes off, and that's fine. I'm sure she's like that. But if Gabby were to get a T-shirt, I would buy hers too, just because she is my current favorite player on that team. Um. Okay, so other than that, I don't think I had much else to go on this week on the whole preview thing. I mean, I know it wasn't a huge preview. It wasn't an in-depth preview because to do an in-depth preview would take a while. I'd probably have to break it up into 3 or 4 parts. Um, but I just wanted to give you my thoughts where I think Nebraska and Indiana are, what I think is going to happen in the Big Ten. I wanted to give you my Iowa predictions. And hey, guys, um, let's go Hawks. College football's back. Iowa Hawkeye football is back this weekend. Coming up this Saturday. In my time zone, it's 12:30. Is it on BTN? I think it is. No, it's not because they got another game going on. We got it is on BTN. Okay. Oh, that was Fox that has some different games, and that's kind of thing too. They were talking about on the game yesterday. They were talking about some really potentially good games this week. I think did they say Penn State and Wisconsin play this week, and Michigan and oh, I don't know who else. Um, but there's some ranked teams playing each other besides us. Okay, in the Big Ten, and they didn't even mention the Iowa Indiana game, and that disappoints me because both those teams are ranked in the top 20. Both those teams are expected to do well this year. What's the deal? Why don't we mention them? Because it was Fox. It was Fox Sports. And was that Reggie Bush on the pregame show yesterday? Because I don't think Reggie Bush still is forgiving Iowa for beating USC. I think that's the reason why they don't get any love from him. Because I know that pregame show didn't give Iowa any love yesterday. At least not when I was watching. Okay, I'm going to end this right here. I still have another video to make on my weight loss journey. So if you want to watch for that video too, we're going to talk about my weight loss journey this past week and what's trending this week on my next video. Okay, so guys, pay attention to Nolan Hawkeye Anthony. His video's coming out. He's going to have a game update either tonight or tomorrow, from what I hear. Watch for that video to come out. Watch for a podcast. Watch for a podcast, I hope, for the two of us coming out together this week. Hopefully, we'll do some post game stuff together. I know he plans on doing a pregame stuff this week, and so hopefully we'll get out there and we'll do a post game together, and we'll talk about the game. That's like we always have, guys. I mean that that's my hope is that we get out there and we post game it and we just talk about what we saw in the game, what we didn't see, and what our thoughts are in each game. So, guys, until I see you guys in the podcast, probably post game later on this week. I'd say let's go Hawks. Let's beat Indiana, and let's get the season off to a great start. Okay, take care, guys.